Hey Maor, welcome.
Hi, Guljan. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for joining us today. So we are super excited actually to listen to you. So guys, like Maor is experienced in IBM, and then he worked at leading blockchain companies as lead engineers. And so we wanted to ask him how was his journey from IBM to Web3. So thank you for joining us today. I'm
It's a
sure
pleasure.
a lot of people will be excited to listen to you. So first of all, just let's start with your career journey. Can you tell a little bit about that to us?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, I spent 8 years at IBM Security. It was a cybersecurity startup that was acquired by IBM, and I transitioned there from QA engineering to full stack engineering during my career there. And in 2016, I was introduced to Bitcoin in a seminar, which really I became very passionate about it after that. I read the white paper and I dived deeper and I got really excited about the new technology. And this led me to leave IBM in 2020 to start my own startup journey, building a circular economy startup combined with blockchain. And it was my first venture. I gained a lot of experience. I built a strong network. I met a lot of new people. It was really, really exciting period. Um, and during the bear run of 2021, we basically couldn't raise what we wanted, and I already had my network, and I knew Fuse Network back then, which we integrated my startup. And I started working there as a backend engineer. And in the past 1.5 years, I've been leading the engineering and product efforts at Fuse. And my next journey will be in a bigger company, Fireblocks, as a product manager. So this is like my career journey in a nutshell, from IBM to Web3, and in the meanwhile of my startup.
That's awesome. I mean, a lot of, just star companies that you work with. So I'm wondering about your experience in each of them. But let's
Mhm.
go back to the time that you got excited about Web3. I'm just wondering, you said you were introduced to Bitcoin and then you made some research. What was
Mhm.
the thing that convinced you that I should do Web3?
Um, yeah, so basically there were several reasons. One of them that I can remember of was, I'm originally from Turkey, and in my time in Turkey, I witnessed firsthand the vulnerabilities of centralized systems, especially during periods of when democracy was under strain. And it became clear to me how centralized structures can be susceptible to corruption and misuse of power. And this experience led me to believe that in the potential of decentralization as a means of circumventing such pitfalls. And transitioning to Web3 was not just a professional experience, a professional decision, but it was also like a personal commitment. It was a passion for me to make a real change in the world. And from the business side, I have also one example. Now I live in Israel, and I always looked up to the startup ecosystem in Israel. That's why I came here actually. And one of the main examples back then when I moved here was Waze, and it was basically a community-driven, um, map system, like Google Maps, but the map was created by the community. While you were driving, you were creating the map, which didn't exist back then. And the community played a pivotal role in building the map and creating an immense value. They benefited the free service from Waze, but in the end, when Waze did an exit of over $1 billion, the community didn't see a share of that success. So that was also an example that led me to have a stronger belief in the Web3, because in Web3 community is everything, as I believe in it. And and the community shares value from the success of the platforms as well.
So are you still happy with your decision? Are you gonna stay in Web3?
There are ups and downs, but I'm always happy about my decision. Sometimes it can be very stressful, and sometimes you can have some doubts. But the passion always overcomes those thoughts, I think. And I really believe in the future of this technology, what it can provide, not only in financial systems, but in everything, from consumer apps, DAOs, and legal systems, and basically everything can be changed by Web3, but we just need to improve the technology to get there.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you think about the biggest improvement areas? What do we need to improve in the sector immediately?
I think the first thing is the user experience. It definitely needs to be fixed, because right now, I mean, up until now, the user experience was really, really bad. And in order to replace existing systems, the Web2 solutions, you really need to make it very, very straightforward for the majority of the users. For example, when you use applications like MetaMask, and you need to remember your seed phrases, you need to understand concepts like gas fees and stuff. People don't understand, or majority of people don't understand those, and it is really like understandable that those are really hard to understand. And statistically speaking, majority of the crypto adoption is in the centralized exchanges, because those platforms can provide such user experiences to the users. And we are getting there actually with account abstraction, the new standard 43.7, which I've been involved with at Fuse, is really opening the path to have much better user experiences. Um, and the other part that is important, I think, is the regulatory aspect. Regulation is not always great for innovation. But on the other hand, unfortunately, there have been a lot of scams and unfortunate events in the crypto space. So we need to have a balanced regulation, I believe, in the crypto space to move it forward.
Yeah, for sure. I think you emphasized two very, very important areas here.
Yeah.
So in terms of your transition, how was it different from the, just Web2 environment, and how did you adapt yourself to this Web3 world? How did you upskill yourself? Like, can you tell a little bit about that transition period? Or maybe it wasn't too different or too difficult. Just tell us, like, how was that transition for you?
Yeah, so the transition was, as I mentioned, IBM is a huge company, right? It's global and it's a corporate. So it's a bit hard to compare, a Web2 corporate with a Web3 startup. So if I was in a Web2 startup, I could have compared it in a better way. But I believe that the one of the differences that I realized in the Web3 space is that people are much more involved in different aspects of the business. Like if you're a developer, you're not only involved with the technical side, you're also involved with the community, like helping and support, and and like you I think it's basically from the motivation, the passion that brings people to the Web3 space. Maybe it's because just a very young space, so only most of the people that work in this space are passionate about it, so they want to be involved in many different things. But when you work in a Web2 company, and I can also think of other companies where my friends work, I think they're more like you do what you have to do, and you just don't get involved with other aspects of the business so much. I think that might be one of the main differences between the two spaces.
Yeah, makes sense. In terms of technical skills, did you need to go through a lot of learning?
I did, yeah, I did. I did it like voluntarily because of my passion. Like I read many white papers. I started from Bitcoin, Ethereum. I did some online courses. Like back then, there was crypto zombies online. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. That made the concepts much simpler to understand. I read a lot. I delved into open source projects to understand. I tried to do some commits or open some issues. This is like from the technical side because I'm a developer, but there are also non-developers that I know that do trading and using all kinds of dApps like DEXs and those kind of things that help them learn in a better way. Like one of the things to to learn in a better way is actually to invest, even if it's a small amount. You have a skin in the game, and then you take everything seriously. Like you pay attention to the details, and you learn, how to install MetaMask, how to submit a transaction, how to use Uniswap for bridging tokens from one chain to another. And in time you actually you need to do more stuff because you're interested and you want to try out different things, and then you learn more and more stuff. So learning by experience is the best way in Web3. And due to the open source nature of the things, and majority of the platforms, they have great documentation and support systems. By support systems, I mean like they have these documentation sites where they have question and answers that you can look for, or you can just go to the Telegram community or Discord. You can ask questions, and by that you learn a lot.
That's awesome. In terms of just we have a lot of Web2 developers in our community, and they ask us a lot about how their life will change if they switch to a more Web3 ecosystem. So as I understand from you, it is not super scary. I mean, it is like a very natural upskilling period, because developers anyways need to upskill themselves constantly. So it didn't seem like very scary to me. What do you say about that?
Um, it wasn't scary, but um, I think whenever you start something new, there is you tend to be, or maybe a little bit lazy, or you say like, hey, okay, I'll do it another time, or you just start and you don't understand and then you just give up. Um, I think it's not because it's scary; it's just because you don't have enough passion about it. You don't understand the basics about the technology and what it can promise for the future of humanity or the society. So once you have those basic understandings, I think you can overcome everything. Like you wouldn't be scared; you will just run into it. You will just want to be more and more involved in it. And the simplest thing to do is just to try. And after you try, I think you will want to try even more because you actually see that you achieved something to learn, even if it's the simplest thing that you could do. Just as I said, like installing MetaMask and submitting just one transaction, even on testnet. It's not that hard. But once you do it, you see that you can do it, and then you do the next step and the next step.
That's awesome. I love it. In terms of finding your first job in a Web3 company, so obviously you started your own startup, and then you switched to another existing player. How was that finding that job for you? Can you tell, like, how did you find the job at Fuse at that time?
Um, yeah, so basically it was a combination of the knowledge that I gained and the network that I built. When I was first when I first heard about Fuse, it was for my startup, as you mentioned. Like we looked for a solution that would make it easier for our users to use our app, which was supposed to be integrated in a blockchain. And Fuse provided such service, and we actually integrated with them, and we built a strong connection with them. Not only with the team, but also with the community, which is a Fuse DAO of early adopters of the Fuse network. So I was also a member of that organization. And then I also ran a validator with a group of friends on Fuse Network. So I was really involved in this community. And when I needed a job, I just reached out to the CEO and I said, you know, I heard that you're looking for a backend engineer, and I think I might be a good fit for that. And then it was then it's the history, you know. So the network, I think, is the best way to find a job in the Web3 space. Once you have a strong network, you can find a job. Of course, if you have the right skills as well.
Yeah, definitely. So this scares some people a lot. Like when we say, oh, you need to, you need a good network, especially the junior developers tend to say, I mean, I'm just starting off my career. I don't have a network. What am I gonna do? So
Mm-hmm.
right now, obviously it has been a while since you started at Fuse, and maybe things changed. How do new developers or new talents find jobs in Web3 nowadays? What do you see? And especially, what is your suggestions about this network side?
Mm-hmm. So the first thing I think is learning. Like you need to learn the basic, you know. And to learn, as I said, you need to have passion. Once you have passion, you will definitely find projects that are interesting to you, and then you will have this drive to get involved in this project, even if you're not working there. You know, you will just join the community. You will ask questions. You will answer other people's questions, and then you will have you will have a presence in the community, and then eventually you will connect to the right people, either within the team or stronger community members who might help you get a job in this project or in another project, or maybe you can also start your own project. You know, it's all once you have the passion, you will build a network. You will learn everything that you need to. You will get involved. If you're a developer, you can just uh, delve into the open source projects, and maybe you can start contributing, even if it's not an official job, even initially. I also believe that with Web3, there will be a feature of more independent talent. I think you don't really have to work for a company in order to be involved in Web3. You can definitely start contributing to open source projects, and you can receive grants if you have strong contributions. Um, and that's why actually I also started another side project, which is Super Talent. It's a pivot of my previous startup, where we are also planning to help freelancers in the Web3 space. Um, so yeah, as I said, like learning, building the network, getting involved, talking to people, asking questions, answering questions, and then I think everything flows from there.
That's awesome. In terms of getting involved in the community, what do you mean? Like today, if I want to get involved in somewhere, what does it mean? Going to their Discord or doing something different?
Yeah, it can be either online, going to joining the Discord or Telegram, whatever platform they use. or joining real world events, like conferences. You can go to meetups. I think in physical world, you create much better, much stronger connections, because the face-to-face communication is still like we are still human beings, right? Like when you're talking with other people online, you don't know if they're bots, or they don't have faces. And in real world, I think it can be much stronger. And you should be honest about your position. Like when you talk to people, when you introduce yourself, you can say who you are, what you are doing, and what you're looking for. And then you also learn about other people, what they do, and then you connect. And then you hear about the projects that they're working in. And maybe an opportunity will come from them, or from another connection of them. It actually happened to me many times. When I met people in a meetup or a conference. We actually built a connection that we didn't actually work together, or I didn't start working in their company, or they didn't start working in my company, but we're still keeping this connection. We're still communicating sometimes. Whether it's about the legal side of things or technical side of things. I see an article and I just share it with them, because we had a conversation about it. So yeah, I think that's the way.
Yeah, definitely. And when you were talking, I was thinking how we met. Also, it is also through networks and other people. Just
Yeah,
this is how you just grow your network. And
exactly. But I definitely understand, the people that are starting. Before I started working at IBM, I was really looking for. I didn't know even what I was looking for. I was applying to many companies. I didn't have any experience, and I didn't even have a computer science background or something. I was looking for something. I was a technical guy always. I studied industrial engineering back in Turkey. I knew a little bit programming, but I didn't really know what I was looking for. And then I applied to a position through a friend of technical support, and I ended up in a QA engineering position. It was also through a network. And then from there, I grew up within the company. I went and studied computer science, and then it brought me to a full track engineering position eventually.
yeah, that's awesome. Actually, it's a good reminder. I mean, in any job, actually, it is not enough just to apply through LinkedIn, just submit your application all the time there. But, it helps to know people and just to ask them good questions.
Yeah,
It is a good reminder, I think. In terms
exactly.
of, if, let's say, somebody is just graduating from school, let's say, do you suggest them to just to delve into this Web3 field immediately, or look for more traditional jobs at more established companies or startups?
Um, I think I think for every person, um, it's good to have different kind of experiences. It doesn't matter in which order you do it, but I definitely suggest or advise people to work in a big company, in a small company, in a medium-sized company, to understand the different stages of a company. And this will give them a much better perspective to build a stronger career. If you're if I would keep working at IBM, I think I wouldn't have learned so many things about startup world. And when a company is small, how does it come to a stage of being acquired by a giant like IBM? I wouldn't have known that by working at IBM. So I had to, leave IBM and learn what does it look like to work in a small startup. It doesn't matter if I started as a startup or I started as a corporate. I think the order uh, doesn't matter so much. Maybe it matters like based on an individual. As a person that didn't have any experience at all, and not a programmer or developer, maybe I couldn't have found a job at a startup. But at a big corporate, I managed to do that. and from that to transition into a startup was a better option for me. But for other people, it will be different. So I think um, to keep your options open. If you have a good opportunity that you feel that you connect to and you're passionate about and you're excited about, just grasp it, and then you can change to a bigger or a smaller company, and then you learn in each new company. You learn more and more, and then you build a stronger career that way.
Great. And just my final question is, so you mentioned that, if you get involved in the projects, it's you will find your way somehow. You will find the people you enjoy working with and everything. But you said at the beginning, if you are good enough, obviously, like if you are technically good, if you have the skills needed for a job,
Mhm.
what do you suggest people to do to improve themselves in terms of technical skills in Web3?
Um, I think the best way is to learn by doing. Not theoretical knowledge. Reading and stuff. You just need to do by doing. And by doing, I don't mean to do courses where you need to repeat whatever they teach you in the video, but to do something that you want to do. Like if it's an exercise that they give you in the online course, you can take the next step and say, what if I, add this functionality to this thing that they're teaching me? And then you will face challenges when you want to do the things that you want to do, and by that you will start searching online. Today you can ask ChatGPT or Bard or whatever you're using, and then you actually learn much better in that way. And when you start working at a company, you learn even better because you need to do everything by yourself. You're just jumping into deep water, and you're just trying to learn to swim. And then we all have this instinct of survival, so we will always do our best to survive at the place that we want to be, and we'll learn much better in that condition. But if you're just learning and you don't have the pressure of time, or you're just, chill about, okay, I'm learning, and, I'm cool about it, then I think you learn slower, and it's not very effective to learn that way.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. That's actually what we also suggest to our students. We are like, yeah, we are giving you this code, but this is just the beginning of it. There's so much more ways to go, and
Mhm.
yeah, that's super important. Like to build
And
projects.
yeah,
Yeah,
and also, as I said, like the open source project, just find a project that you're passionate about. You like the idea, you like what they're doing, and just open the code and try to understand what they did. How is it structured? What each component is doing, and how did they build it? Look into the smart contract, or the front end, or the back end, or whatever is open source. You can just look into it, and you can even think about improvements while looking into it. Like you can suggest improvements, you can open issues. Maybe it will also give you a job. A lot of companies are hiring people that contribute to their open source projects, because it's a much more efficient way than hiring through the hiring process, because you don't need to go through all these interviews if you already proved yourself in an open source project.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I heard a lot of people going through this route as well. It is a great suggestion. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. I was going to ask you, your final suggestions for Web2 developers or new graduates, but you had a lot of, practical, very to the point suggestions. Is there anything
the
else you
pleasure.
add before we leave?
Um, I think I would say that I would really invite Web2 people to Web3, Web2 developers to Web3. Even if it looks scary, or they don't understand, it's not that scary. It's not much more complicated than what they are doing in Web 2, and their skills in Web 2 can be very, very valuable in Web 3, and they can get really good jobs in the Web 3 space with those skills. In Web 3, we need back end, front end, developers, designers, product managers. To move this space forward, we need really, really talented people. And I think it will be a win-win for people if more people join the Web 3 space from the Web 2 space, both users or talent.
Yeah, that's awesome. And hopefully, just if we have a better conditions in the economy, these jobs may even increase, maybe next year, maybe 2 years, 3 years down the line. But it is hopeful that you are saying these even in the worst market conditions. So that's hopeful.
Yeah. No, it will definitely, like, I really believe that it's gonna change. It happened many times in the past, the bull run and the bear run. And I think when you're involved in the technology, when you're building within this ecosystem, you are less affected by those cycles. You keep believing in it because you actually know what's been cooking within the space. You're not only dealing with speculations and investments and stuff like this. You're actually seeing, like, more and more institutional players are joining. The technology is improving. The user experience in the next cycle is going to be much better. I can say it like firsthand. The technology is there. There are already many great startups that are building platforms with account abstraction. Also, big players are also into this technology right now. Um, and I think in time the regulation will also get much better because um, there is no other way. Like, this technology, this space is not going anywhere, and both the regulators and the countries will need to accept the fact that it's staying here, and it will eventually help all of the parties to find a solution, to find better solutions to the problems that exist.
Yeah, definitely. Which big players moves to Web3 or experiments make you excited? Can you name a few companies there?
Um, I th- so, for example, there, one of the customers of Fireblocks that I'm gonna start working at is Revolut. For example, is a traditional financial service provider, and they're using Fireblocks, for example, or there are like big companies like Starbucks experimenting with NFTs, or Visa experimenting with account abstraction and payments. It's more experimental for some of them. Some of them are providing actual solutions that are being used by millions already. And I think more and more companies will enter this space, especially to take to leverage the loyalty aspect of blockchain with NFTs, or coins or tokens or whatever they are. Um, and I think yeah, like, more and more players will enter. I think I'm not sure which other companies entered. Maybe McDonald's tried to do some, or Burger King, was it? I don't remember. I just don't want to throw other big names that are not actually doing that. But I think that there are more and more companies that are trying to experiment with it.
Yeah, great. So, okay, thank you so much. We will share your address, LinkedIn, Twitter address, and Super Talent addresses, just in case people are interested in connecting. Thank you so much.
Sure.
This was great, and congratulations on
It's
your
a
new role.
pleasure.
Yeah, I hope
Thank
that
you.
you achieve even bigger things, and we would share the updates again.
Thanks a lot, Gulcan.
Okay, bye bye. Take care.
Bye bye.